بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
These days there is an attempt on a global level to weaken this main source of survival of the Shia community by attacking the whole structure of the leadership of the ulama, the mujtahideen and the fuqaha. And it's not only done from outside. Unfortunately, we have people even within. There are trends in Pakistan and other areas, so-called akhbaris, or akhbarism, where they say, we don't want to follow any fallible human being. We only follow a masoom imam. And I say, okay, tell me when you have a situation now, do you have access to the imam at the moment? You don't have. So you are saying that during the time of the ghaibat of the imam, you don't have the access to the imam. Either they left a system for you to seek guidance, or they left you without guide. There are only two choices there. And this is where we have to realize when we talk about following the fuqaha and mujtahideen, we are actually following the Aimma alayhimus salam themselves. It is through them that we are connected to the Imam of the time, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. There was a companion of the Imam by the name of Umar bin Hanzala. And it's he who has narrated this hadith, which is based on hypothetical situation. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless these companions of the Prophet and the Imams who used to bring up questions. And then they will follow question after questions, and that becomes a source for us, to seek guidance from the Imam. And this is a narration found in one of the earliest collections of hadith known as Usul Al-Kafi of Sh Kulayni. Everybody's, very well versed with the name of the book. And just a point here that Usul Al-Kafi was compiled during the Ghaibat al-Sughra of the Imam of the time. Sheikh Kulayni lived at that time. And this is the first compilation of hadith. And in his book, he basically, through his chain of narrators, goes to Umar bin Hanzala and, narrates this. And this is a very interesting conversation that Umar bin Hanzala has. He says, سألت أبا عبد الله عليه السلام عن رجلين. And I'll not go to the Arabic all the time. He says, I asked the Imam about two individuals from our own community who had dispute between them on an issue of debt or inheritance. So it was a financial, dispute that they had. And so then he says, فَتَحَاكَمَ إِلَى السُّلْطَانِ وَإِلَى الْقُضَاةِ. He says, these two Shias have a dispute with one another on financial matter, whether it's a loan or an issue of inheritance where they have dispute, and they went and presented their case to the ruler or a judge appointed by the ruler. And we are not talking about Shia Qadi here, we are talking about the judges who are not Shia. He's asking this question, أَيَحِلُّ ذَلِكَ? O Imam, is it permissible for them to take their case to a court system which is not legitimate from our point of view? Imam says, مَنْ تَحَاكَمَ إِلَيْهِمْ فِي حَقٍّ أَوْ بَاطِلٍ فَإِنَّمَا تَحَاكَمَ إِلَى الطَّاغُوتِ. If someone takes a case before them, whether his claim is legitimate or not, he actually, by doing this, has taken his case to Taghut. Taghut is a term used in Quran for any illegitimate authority or any person who is even obeyed or worshipped by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without his permission. So we are talking about, here the ruler and the Qadi. And then Imam says, whatever he judges in his favor, even though he might be right in his claim, and he receives something through this judgment, Imam is saying he will be taking something that is unlawful for him, even if he had a firm, legitimate claim to it. Why? Because the judgment of Taghut is not acceptable. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us in Surah Nisa, ayat number 60, that you should refrain from going to the Taghut to seek judgments. Now, you will say, okay, what do we do in Canada? Don't worry there. We'll come to the challenge later on. But here I'll just tell you a mas'ala. It is haram to go to any non-Muslim court system if you have access to the Shari'i court system or a Shari'i arbitration board. In absence of that, if your claim is legitimate, there is no way of solving it through, Shari'i process, then you're allowed to go and get your claim through non-Muslim systems. But that is only because there is no Muslim system available. But we'll come to that later on. So then, Umar bin Hanzala asked the Imam, فَكَيْفَ يَصْنَعَانِ? If you are saying that these two Shias who have dispute in their financial matters are not allowed to go to the judge appointed by the Khalifa, then what should they do? And this is where we come to the system that we have. ينظران إلى من كان منكم ممن قد روى حديثنا ونظر في حلالنا وحرامنا وعرف أحكامنا فليرضوا به حكما. Imam says they should seek, these two individuals should go to the community and seek among the Shia someone who has these three qualities. Number one, who has transmitted our hadith, who is familiar with our sayings, who has an insight in what is halal and haram from our views, and who is familiar with our rulings. Imam says, فَلْيَرْزُ بِهِ حَكَمًا, then they should accept him as an arbiter. Why? فَإِنِّي قَدْ جَعَلْتُهُ عَلَيْكُمْ حَاكِمًا, because I hereby appoint him as a judge over you. Remember, this is not a specific case. Umar bin Hanzala is talking about a hypothetical situation, and Imam is giving a general guidelines here, saying that in such a case, go and find somebody who has these qualities, accept him, and I appoint him as a judge over you. Who are these people that Imam is talking about, that he's giving this wikalati am or niyabati am, as we call them? Three conditions. This is where you see the system of ijtihad is already being established. Imam alayhi salam during his time is expecting in his community to have companions who have these qualities. Number one, he should be well versed with the ahadith of the Imams. He should be a scholar of religion. He should have good insight into halal and haram. He should be able to scrutinize the ahadith and derive the opinions of the halal and haram from Ahlul Bayt according to the ahadith. And he should have an overall, knowledge about the ahkam of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam. When these qualities come together, we give that individual a simple name. We call him a faqih or a mujtahid. So we are not talking about somebody who just narrates the hadith. Look at the word nadara fi halalina wa haramina. He has an insight to it. Not just a ravi of hadith in the sense of somebody who just reads that. Wa arafa ahkamana, who is well versed, arafa, has the ma'rifat of our ahkam. Imam says, I appoint him as a hakim, as a judge over you. I don't want to go into other discussion about hakim, does it mean the ruler or the judge? At least both views, we have disagreement on this term, agree that judge or a qazi is definitely part of this hadith. If these two Shia can find such an individual and they take their case to him, and if one of them refuses to accept it, what happens? فَإِذَا حَكَمَ بِحُكْمِنَا. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is saying that once this judge, whom I have now appointed him upon you, if he makes a judgment بِحُكْمِنَا, according to our judgment, according to our ruling, فَلَمْ يَقْبَلْ مِنْهُ, and if one of the two don't accept it from this judge, فَإِنَّمَا إِسْتَخَفَّ بِحُكْمِ اللَّهِ, then this person has actually belittled the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَعَلَيْنَا رَادَّ, and as if he has rejected us. وَالرَّادُّ عَلَيْنَا الرَّادُّ عَلَى اللَّهِ, and when you do the rad, and when you reject us, it's as if you're rejecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَهُوَ عَلَى حَدِّ الشِّرْكِ بِاللَّهِ, and this will be almost equivalent to the crime of committing shirk against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we talk about the fuqaha and mujtahideen, when they give the fatwa, this is not just something, coming from the thin air. This is a system which exists even during the days of the Imam. Gradually the ashab are trained, and this system was strengthened so that when the ghaibat starts, the community have access to religious guidance from the fuqaha and the mujtahideen.